Today, we're going to dive into a framework that could totally change the way you think about learning. We're talking about turning those facts you cram for a test into real, lasting knowledge you can actually use.
You know the feeling, right? You pull an all-nighter, you study for hours, you feel like you've nailed it, and then, boom, a week later, it's like it was never there. That feeling of knowledge just vanishing, it's just so frustrating.
Well, what if I told you there's a better way? A structured method to not just memorize information, but to really, truly own it. That's exactly what we're going to break down.
Okay, so first things first, we've got to understand the core of the problem. You see, not all learning is the same. There is a huge difference between just repeating information and actually getting it.
This is the perfect way to think about it. Let's imagine two students, Becky and Carla. They both read the exact same chapter on electrical circuits. Now, Becky goes for rote learning. She memorizes the definition of Ohm's law word for word. But here's the catch. When she gets a problem she's never seen before, she's totally stuck. Carla, though, she's aiming for meaningful learning. She works to understand why Ohm's law works, connecting it to stuff she already knows. And the result? She can walk up to a brand new problem and solve it. No sweat.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? How do we all become more like Carla? Well, the answer is in this amazing framework often called Bloom's taxonomy. Think of it like a ladder of thinking, a series of steps that build on each other to create that deep, flexible knowledge we're all after.
Let's start at the very bottom of that ladder. You know, any great building needs a solid foundation. And for learning, that foundation is built with two crucial first steps: remembering and understanding.
So that first step, the absolute ground floor, it's all about remembering. And what does that mean? It's simply being able to pull facts, definitions, and basic ideas from your long-term memory. It's the what of learning.
So in the real world, what's that look like? Well, it's recognizing important dates on a history timeline. It's recalling that exact formula for Ohm's law, just like Becky did. Or maybe it's listing the steps of photosynthesis. This is super important, but it's just the starting line.
Okay, time to climb to the next level. Understand. This is where you start to actually make sense of all those facts. It's not just about remembering them anymore. It's about grasping what they really mean.
And this is where you can really see the difference, right? Understanding isn't just knowing the dates of a war. It's being able to explain the causes in your own words. It's not just listing the characters in a novel, but summarizing the whole plot. And for Carla, it's describing what Ohm's law actually does inside a circuit.
So there we have it, our base. We can remember the info, and we can explain what it means. We've built a pretty solid foundation, but real learning, it definitely doesn't stop here.
All right, we're climbing higher up the ladder now. It's time to go from just knowing something to actually using it. This is where we learn to apply and analyze.
The third level is apply. And this is where the rubber really meets the road. It's all about taking what you know and using it to get something done or to solve a problem. So you don't just know the math formula, you use it to solve a tricky OR problem you've never seen. You don't just list the ingredients, you actually follow the recipe and bake the cake. This is the exact moment where Carla could solve that new circuit problem and Becky was left behind.
Next up, we analyze. Think of this as becoming a detective. You're breaking down the information, looking at all the little pieces, and figuring out how they all fit together to make the big picture.
Analyzing means you can read an article and actually separate the hard facts from the author's opinions. It means you can draw a map of all the complicated relationships in a Shakespeare play. It's about taking something apart, not with a screwdriver, but with your brain to see how it really works.
Just look how far we've climbed. We've gone from simple recall all the way up to breaking things down like a pro. But believe it or not, there are still 2 more levels to master.
We are now at the absolute pinnacle of the pyramid. These last 2 levels, evaluate and create, this is where real mastery and, true innovation really happens.
Level 5 is evaluate. This is way more than just understanding or analyzing. It's about making a judgment call. It means you have to assess something's worth or quality based on some clear standards. You see, when you evaluate, you're not just saying, "Oh, I like that painting." You're critiquing it based on principles like color theory and composition. You're not just listening to a debate, you're judging how logical the arguments are. You're making a smart, reasoned choice about the best way to move forward. And at last, we've made it to the summit. Create. This is the ultimate proof of understanding. It's when you take everything you've learned, everything you've analyzed and evaluated, and you use it to make something brand new.
Creating means writing your own short story, not just summarizing someone else's. It's composing your own song, not just analyzing another one. It's designing a totally new experiment to push science forward. This is where learning literally becomes invention.
Okay, so we've climbed the whole ladder, from remember all the way to create. But you might be wondering, so what? Why does this matter so much? What's the big payoff here?
Because this isn't just some dusty old theory, it's a toolkit for your brain. It's all laid out right here. When you actively try to move up these levels with anything you're learning, you force your brain to connect with the material in a much deeper, more meaningful way.
And this is the key. This is straight from the source material. The whole point isn't just to remember more stuff. The goal is to promote retention and transfer. In other words, you want to keep the knowledge and be able to use it somewhere else.
And that right there brings us to the ultimate prize, knowledge transfer. This is the superpower you get from climbing this ladder. It's being able to take what you learned in one place, like Carla in her physics class, and use it to solve a totally new problem in a completely different situation. That is what real, lasting learning is all about.
So, the next time you decide to learn something new, don't just stop at remembering. Ask yourself, can I explain this? Can I use this? Can I analyze it, evaluate it, and maybe, just maybe, create something new with it? The ladder is yours now. The only question is, what are you going to learn next?